What's up, and welcome to episode 103 of Throwback Hoops. My name is Rob Clayton, and I'm joined as always by Woody V. How you doing, bro?
Good, man. It's a good little run here. My Kings got a victory on the weekend, and our Hawks got a victory this morning. So a couple of positive days for my teams. Right, so I'm happy.
Definitely. Geez, the Hawks needed that win today against San Antonio. So at the time of recording, it's Tuesday, the 16th of January. So, no, we did need that one. So, well, before we get into it, Woods, just a reminder where to find us. Please make sure you like, rate, and subscribe on YouTube. The audio is available where all podcasts are found. We've had a really big increase with the subscribers on YouTube, so we thank everyone so much for your support.
Yep.
Continue to bring you this weekly content. So, well, as we always do with this weekly show, Woods, we're going to show off some random jerseys. I can see you doing the NBL theme this week, so why don't you talk to us about the one you're wearing today?
Well, I saw you put on the run sheet we're going to talk about Southeast Melbourne today, so I thought, why not, right? So I'm just going to stand up.
Nice. Woody's standing up, rocking the number 55, Mitch Creek. The Looney Tunes on with Marvin the Martian on the back. Is that like that's
the new?
Oh, I like it. It's the hat, actually. Yeah, nice. You did step up your hat game over the Christmas period, didn't you?
I did, man. I think you have worn a Mitch Creek jersey on the show before, or presented one behind you, perhaps.
I remember, actually, yeah. Maybe.
Well, in talking about all his accolades and everything, I just wanted to bring up something today. I mean, he's been treated a bit harshly, I think, by the Australian selectors and his lack of chances to play for the Australian national team. And Brian Goldschmidt has come out recently and said he will be considered for the Olympics. So what are your thoughts there? I mean, on the way he's sort of been treated over the years and his lack of opportunities playing for the national setup?
Well, I think he'd have to be the best Aussie player in the NBL, wouldn't he? Is that a fair thing to say? I mean, I know Golding's the one that seems to get the spots in that, but what Creek can do on a basketball court, I'm not entirely sure how well his game does translate to the international stage, given his shooting still a little bit up and down. But look, he can do a lot from the position he plays. He's a versatile defender. He's a lefty, which catches people by surprise all the time. But yeah, I think he definitely deserves a shot, doesn't he? I'm not sure he will make the Olympic team this year, but he deserves a spot in the training camp, I think, to at least show what he's worth, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, there have been some controversies surrounding him, and I'm with you. I don't think he's going to make the team for the Olympics. But in years gone by, there have been opportunities, even in qualification games and things like that, when the full roster wasn't available and he was ignored. Do you reckon some of those off-field controversies have affected his non-selection? Or
it does seem like that, doesn't it? I mean, yeah, there's some rumours going around. There was some reported things about him, which I don't think he was ever charged or anything for any of those rumours. We probably don't need to bring him up here, sort of thing. But You'd have to wonder. I mean, it's normally a pretty clean-cut team. You could maybe say whether that will affect Josh Giddey's chances. I don't think it will be. I just saw him play against the Lakers and just get booed on every single possession he had the ball. But yeah, look, I'd say it must be playing some sort of a part, right?
Yeah, for sure. But let's leave that aside for a second. Since he was a franchise player in the expansion franchise Southeast Melbourne many years ago, how much have his leadership qualities contributed to the success of that franchise over the recent past?
He's the heart and soul of that team, isn't he? Without a doubt. I was really pleased to see him get that shot in the NBA a couple of years ago. It feels like a while ago now, doesn't it? Brooklyn and Minnesota, I'm going to say, maybe had a
5 years back, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So he's got that NBA on his resume now. But yeah, absolutely, he's the heart and soul of that team. And I think if they are going to, and we are going to talk about it later, if they are going to perhaps challenge for the play, and he'll have to keep playing. And he played an absolute blinder last weekend as well, didn't he?
He did.
Oh, so I like that one, Woods. And that hat's very nice as well. So how many new hats did you get? I know you went to a bit of a shopping. Was it like 5 or 6 or something?
I got 4 new hats, man.
4 new hats.
I got a Bulls one, the Hawks one that you saw last week, this one, and a Spurs one as well. So it was really nice. I went to Kings and used one of those vouchers that was presented for my birthday. So it was really nice. Nice.
Birthday's continuing, right? Yeah, good stuff. All right, well, I'll talk about mine this week. So I'm doing a Milwaukee Bucks double this week, Woods. So I'm showing a newer jersey behind me, plus I'm rocking an old champion jersey. So one of these players is a well-known player, and the other is a little bit, a lot more obscure, I should say. So I'll talk about the one hanging behind me first. I know you're not a big numbers man, so you're probably not entirely sure who that is yet. But the one I'm hanging is a Khris Middleton black Adidas Bucks jersey. So Middleton's another one of those guys that's been a bit of a man crush for me over the years, Woods, as you probably know. He's had a great career, and obviously the career is still going strong. So he's currently played 11 seasons in the NBA after getting drafted out of Texas A&M by the Pistons at pick 39 way back in 2012. So a trade to the Bucks, I think Brandon Jennings might have been sent the other way there, has really proved to be a great move. Middleton's gone on to be a one-time champ, a three-time All-Star. To me, he's been the perfect complement to the Greek Freak on that Milwaukee Bucks team. So, look, injuries have really impacted him over the last few years, haven't they, Woods? He's still age, 32 years of age, so he's still certainly got some time ahead of him there. But and I think when he's healthy, he's still an absolute quality player. So, what are your thoughts on Middleton? Got a bit of an old school game, I reckon, right?
Always been a big fan of his, right? And he used to be a lockdown defender before those injuries, affected him. Him, Holiday, and Giannis, were a big part of that championship run. Those three being able to be very versatile on the floor. It's nice to see him actually coming back to somewhere close to his best form recently. You've seen glimpses of his past. I don't know if he's ever going to go back to that all-star level performer that he was, but he's trending in the right direction. And, he's an underrated playmaker as well. As you said, old school game, can take it to mid-range, very reliable, and just a great teammate he comes across as, right? And a good man, in interviews and stuff, when you hear him speak, he's very respectful and soft-spoken, and he comes across as someone extremely genuine.
He does. Definitely a big fan of him. All right, well, I'll stand up and show you the one I'm rocking. The clue is I'm rocking a jersey today. That's my clue.
And he's standing up with the classic number 10 Todd Day jersey. Now that is random, man. We'll be doing some random jerseys of late, right?
Mate, loving the jersey ones. That's right. So this is about as random as they come, right? So another guy that I had a bit of a man crush on in the 90s sort of thing. He was someone along with Blue Edwards that, Milwaukee were probably if not my second favourite team, my third favourite team. You have a lot of favourite teams when you're in your younger years there. So a little bit about Todd Day. Look, he's probably someone that maybe a lot of our viewers and listeners may not know a lot about. I know some of the old school guys will certainly remember Todd Day, but a little bit about him there, Woods. So this is his purple champion Bucks jersey. He played only 8 seasons in the NBA after getting drafted out of Arkansas at pick 8 in the 92 draft by the Bucks. He went on to play with Milwaukee, Boston, Miami, Phoenix, and Minnesota. So bounced around a bit, and then also finished his career overseas, Wood, so playing in Cyprus, Argentina, and then back in the American CBA there. So it wasn't a long career, was it? 8 years probably surprised me when I was doing my research on this one. So he played for the US in the 1990 World Championships and a Goodwill game. So he obviously had some, success on the national stage there as well. Career scoring average of 12 points a game. He also had a career high of 41 points on 2 separate occasions, so the guy could definitely fill it up there. He's currently 53 years of age. He's been coaching at Philander Smith College in Arkansas for, I think, maybe the last 6 or 7 years there. So what were your memories of Mr. Day there, Woods?
Not many, man, actually, fair with you. I mean, I pulled a few of his cards. Back then, I think Milwaukee wouldn't be televised very often. I think it was early 90s, right? He played for Milwaukee and then spent some time at Miami straight afterwards and maybe left and came back to Phoenix later on in the 90s. Am I wrong in saying that? Or?
Yes, I think Phoenix and Minnesota were his last spots there. Have you ever seen the surname Day as well, by the way, out of interest? Not sure that I have.
Not sure that I have either, yeah.
Definitely an obscure one. Probably one of the shorter names I've got on any of these old champion jerseys. Tell you what, I've had a couple of pies since I bought this jersey back in the 90s as well, so it's barely fitting at the moment. But I'm liking this one. Bit of a retro look there. And
we might have actually pulled a card of his in one of the various packs we've had in the past.
Yeah, I'm sure we would have around that time. Yeah. Nice. All right, well, a bit of a trip down memory lane with a past player and 2 current players that we've shown this week. So appreciate that, Wood. So, all right. Well, I know we did this the same last week. We might start off with NBL this week. We've obviously got some NBA to talk about as well. But before we get into a round 16 preview, let's talk a little bit about the round that's just finished. So, as I mentioned at the start of the show, Tuesday the 16th of January. So the last games of the round were a couple of days ago. I wanted to talk about, maybe a couple of things from this last round, Woods. Let's start off with the red-hot Brisbane Bullets. Currently on a 4-game win streak, sitting in 5th place with an 11-11 record. actually equal with Tasmania and Sydney as well. So just separated by percentage with those two teams there.
Yep.
How impressive have these guys been to you?
Very impressive. I think a big part of them being successful is getting a lot of the guys healthy, right? Nathan Sobey, back to full health, performing at, all NBL level at the moment.
Yep.
Shannon Scott's back contributing, playing that role for them. But the big difference I've seen is Khris Smith being inserted into that starting lineup. He's really had a positive impact on that team in that stretch of 4 games. I think he missed one of them with injury, but he's come back into that starting lineup and really been that scoring punch that they needed. I think he's got back-to-back player of the games.
Jeez, he shoots it with some arc, doesn't he? He goes flying in the sky. Why didn't they foul him, by the way, last week in that game where he hit the winning shot? That was bizarre there, wasn't it? Yeah.
And all the other guys contributing around. You said the 3-headed monster. Obviously, you've seen Mitch Norton, one of your Perth Wildcats, favorites. It's almost like point guard by committee between him and Shannon Scott.
Isaac White's been pretty handy as well, right?
Yep, the best 19% 3-point shooter in the NBL. As David Ari put it.
Good call. Yeah.
And Sam McDaniel, man, this is one guy that we need to talk about. People don't talk about him enough, right? In conversations for being one of the best defenders in the league, but in terms of wing defenders, he's right up there, right? And you throw out Christian Doolittle and a few others, Taj McCall, who are great positional defenders, but we don't speak about Sam McDaniel enough, man. And I think
good call.
What he brings to the table on that end is understated. Yeah.
On that as well, Woods, I love how versatile his defense is. McDaniel, he can play guard a number of positions, but I think his offense has also impressed me a little bit more this year. So maybe I think his last spot was Tasmania. Maybe that wasn't the ideal spot for him there, but he's look, I don't think he's going to get most improved player this year, but he's certainly going to be in the running. I would have thought his name's going to have to be mentioned when they give out that award at the end of the year, just with what he's done there. Shout out to McDaniel there, and I think very well coached this year as well. That's something I've sort of noticed with Schuler, right?
Justin Schuler's been great, and they're obviously taking a cautious approach with Casey Prather. Him and Josh Bannon were out ill for last game, right? And they still managed to get the W. So getting Josh Bannon back and healthy, and Casey Prather ramping up towards as they ramp up towards the playoffs is going to be great. And this team could surprise a few. I mean, I for one thought they wouldn't make the top 6 4 games ago. Let's say, right? We know Liam on Brisbane Island, and who are we to actually doubt Liam Santa Maria? The man in Australian basketball circles. He knew it from the start, and he's predicting to be right.
The ladder is so tight, isn't it? We talked about where their position is there. I mean, New Zealand's, 1 win behind, if I'm not mistaken? I think they might be on 10 wins. Am I right there? Maybe 9?
I think they're worse now. I think 8 and 12 maybe.
Is it 8? Okay. Yeah, maybe check over. But, look, it's very close. And, you see if a team's on a double and can suddenly win 2 games in a row, they're right back in contention with things. So it's good. Obviously Adelaide, they've still been probably more competitive than what we were thinking. They're probably still going to get the wooden spoon there. But I've liked how competitive it's been. And look, I mentioned, obviously, maybe Mitch Creek's the best Aussie in the NBL. You talked about Nathan Sobey before. He's probably got a lot to say about that as well. I mean, he's really back in that form. And why would you not consider someone like him for that Olympic team, right? So I think he's obviously not quite the shooter that Golding is, but he can certainly knock him down. But he can do so much more on the basketball court than Chris Golding can do at this stage of Golding's career. He can really push the tempo, very athletic still.
And to be fair, Nathan Sobey started the season really slow, and he was making some boneheaded plays, playing into the refs.
He's cut that down.
Not getting back on defense and stuff. You're really seeing a change in his attitude. And leadership from someone like Aaron Baines, who's been happy to take that back seat and be that mentor in the locker room, playing limited minutes now. I'm sure he's had a positive influence along with Justin Schuler on that organization and their trend upwards, right?
Sure. I think maybe Sobey must be a listener of the show, Woods, because he's heard us talk about his complaining in the past and he's cut that out. So maybe someone that also is a listener of our show, and we're not really going to talk about him, is Jalen Adams from your Sydney Kings. So I dropped a few lines about him last week, and he had probably his best game easily his best game of the season, I'd say. But we're not going to talk about the Kings, Woods. We talked about them a lot last week. So it was a great win. It was still only 1 win they had against New Zealand there. But one team I wanted to talk about.
Before we move on, we're going. This Sunday, right?
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's
right?
the annual, Clayton and Venkat sort of, cup there, they should call it there. My mum and dad and my daughter are going to be coming out, so looking forward to that. And I know we want a bit of revenge. You missed that first game earlier in the year when you were away in India, but, the Kings just dominated the Wildcats game. It was a little bit embarrassing the way the Wildcats played, but I think Wildcats are a lot different. Worried about injuries though, Woods. I heard that Doolittle and Sark can both be out of that game, so Sydney's a pretty big team. I mean, there's no way very unlikely, I should say, the Wildcats are winning that game if there's no Doolittle and Saar. But, Cotton's going to have to really sort of go for 40 in that game. And someone like Usher's going to need to really step up with those sort of guys out. So looking forward to go to that game with you, mate. I'm sure we'll probably get a hot dog and a cold drink or something like that. So, bring that on the weekend. Yep. So, well, you mentioned obviously at the start of the show, we're going to talk about Southeast. You're rocking that nice jersey today. So I wanted to talk a little bit about them, Woods. So they've now lost 3 in a row. They've dropped to 8th place on the ladder, which is a little bit of a surprise. They've got a 9-12 record, so only 7 games left now. What are your thoughts on these guys' chances in making the play-in? And of the 7 games left, how many do you think they would possibly have to win in order to make the play-ins? I mean, I'm thinking probably they need to
5
to win 5 of 7, and that's a tough ask. How much have these injuries impacted them as well?
A lot, and Will Cummins being let go, it's continuity, right? You want to have players and combinations playing together on the court, getting familiar with one another, right? You lose, you've lost various different players at different times of the year, and that's really had a detrimental effect on them. Mitch Creek's been out, Alan Williams has been out, Abdul Nader's been out recently. Craig Moller, a guy who does all the dirty work. We talked about that earlier, someone who necessarily doesn't put up those numbers, but you always need a guy like that on your team. It's just been in and out, Ruben Tarangi leaving, another guy leaving, and it's almost like a different starting 5 every game. So I think not just this year, this has been something that has been plaguing Southeast Melbourne over the years, and it's reared its head again. So I feel sorry for them, but I think it's done. I think
you mentioned
too many strong teams there. Yeah.
Abdul Nader there, Woods. I feel like he's missed more games than he's actually played since he's been here. I think he might have had a couple of different injuries, right? It was a finger injury and then maybe something else. But yeah, look, this would be a bit of a surprise. I think I was higher on them at the start of the season than what you were. But honestly, that roster that they had at the start of the season with, Big Source coming back, some Aussie talent there, I was quite high on what Gak would be like for them coming over from Brisbane. He's been a bit injured as well. He has been, yeah. But look, they'd have to be very disappointed, right, to currently be in 8th place there. And as I mentioned, 3 games under the 50% 500 record there, and only 7 games left. So it's going to be very interesting. And Mitch Creek's going to really have to just have some amazing games to get back in contention. Look, I don't think they're totally out of it yet. We'll see the schedule in a minute and see who they've got this week, but they need to get a bit of a run on. I think the ladder is so tight. If they were to run off maybe 3 wins, a couple of teams above them lose a few, they're a chance. But it's obviously they're pushing uphill at the moment, aren't they?
I'll say something controversial here that maybe people might not necessarily agree with. Players should not be working for the media during the season, right? Mitch Creek going behind the commentary box, right? Alan Williams coming on the overtime show, speaking about other teams and what he thinks of other players and stuff. It just seems weird, man. I don't mind the insights; it's interesting for the viewer. But while the season's on, you need to focus on your team and working for your team, not being in the commentary box. So I just think that detracts a little bit from things.
I know you feel strongly on that. Yeah, I mean, it might be the sort of thing, get someone when they've just retired. Get, someone like, Rowdy Ryan Brockhoff sort of thing. Have more of a role with him given he retired last year. These sort of guys that aren't currently associated with the team and can speak a bit more freely. But, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? The Creek's certainly been doing a lot of games this year, hasn't he?
It kind of distracts from the vision of the team, right? You're off going into the media box and you're commenting on all the games and working with the pundits. It's conflict of interest, in my opinion. Yeah.
It's been a tough first season for Coach Mike Kelly as well. I mean, obviously, we mentioned so many different starting lineups. The change in imports there. Big Source obviously missed quite a handful of those first few games. So I feel for him a little bit. He's someone that I really like from his time. Both playing and assistant coach with the Wildcats there and coaching in general. So hopefully they have a bit more success. But yeah, I think you're right. It's going to be very hard for them to make it there. So. Yep. All right, well, let's do a little bit of a preview on this week's games, Wood. So, round 16, and what is there, only like 4 rounds to go after this, is it, or 5 rounds? But we're certainly on the tail end. I know the regular season finishes in February, so maybe around a month away. So, it feels like the season's flown, to be honest. But, yeah, why don't you maybe you can go through the games then and we'll give some thoughts.
All right, well, the round starts off tomorrow. Been a few Wednesday starts last couple of weeks, which is nice, right?
Yep.
All right, so the aforementioned Southeast Melbourne Phoenix take on the Adelaide 36ers and go in as favourites. I'm not sure about that. Adelaide's sort of been on a good run lately. I'd probably go with Adelaide in this one by a little.
I mean, talk about a must-win game, Woods. I mean, you can just put a cross through them if they lose this. There'll be 4 games under 50%. I know it's being played rural, isn't it? State Basketball Centre. I know they've got the tennis in Melbourne at the moment. I'm going to say Southeast just do what they need to do and they get the W in that one.
Fair enough. Okay, then Thursday we have a really good game. The Illawarra Hawks at home to the Cairns Taipans. Going to be tough to call that one, man. I'm gonna go Cairns.
It is a tough
Cairns
one.
Cairns in a tight one.
I'm going to continue the theme of picking differently than you. I'm going to say Illawarra win that one, but yeah, wouldn't shock to see Cairns win, and that's a pretty big game for both teams as well there.
Yep, for sure. Let's move on to Friday, where we've got the doubleheader, the early game at 7:30 at MyState Bank Arena. Tasmania Jack Jumpers at home to Melbourne United.
What's going on with Tasmania on their home court this year, right? They seem to have dropped quite a few games there. It's funny. It feels like it's almost they're a team in chaos sort of thing, but they're still, third on the ladder? And, I think I've mentioned the same record as Brisbane and Sydney. They need to start finding some form. Doyle's been out of sorts since he returned from the US after, his father's funeral there. Jordan Crawford's been pretty inefficient, I would say, in his last few games there. He just hasn't quite looked the same there. So this will be an interesting game, won't it? I expect Melbourne will get up on this one.
Yep, likewise. Your Perth Wildcats at home on Friday night, RAC Arena.
A couple of big games for Perth this round, right?
Yep.
Is there any reason why Perth play like a late Friday game and then have to travel and play Sydney? It seems a little bit unfair if you're asking me, so getting my excuses out there already. Yeah, again, Woods, if we've got some of these big guys out and we're playing against that 3-headed monster of Brisbane, this could be a real danger game for Perth. So I really hope Doolittle gets back. It looked a bit innocuous, that knock that he got last week, but he clearly wasn't right when he went off there. I think we'll continue to watch the various social media outlets to see if he's definitely out. But, yeah, I'll have to say Perth, but I'm a little bit worried about this game.
I'll agree with you. Go with Perth there. What's wrong with the Wildcats playing on a Thursday night? It doesn't happen very often, right?
No, there seems to be they just like to schedule in those Friday night ones, don't they? It was actually good seeing a Saturday night game in Perth, a very rare one with the roof closed, obviously with the weather there. But yeah, they seem to like that time slot for them, don't they?
It would have made sense for them to have that Thursday night game.
Yeah,
9:30.
An extra day.
Give them an extra day. Yeah,
100%. If we're talking Eastern Standard Time, by the time they finish that, it's 11:30 on Friday night. It's a reasonable road trip to get to Sydney for the early game as well on Sunday. So yeah, a bit strange.
Okay, let's move to Saturday. You've got a doubleheader starting off with New Zealand and Southeast Melbourne in Spark Arena. So New Zealand at home there. So you got.
Mate, I'm going to go all in on Southeast and say they win this one on the road as well, and they get back in contention after we've spoken about them this week. So this is really a big week with them being on the double there. And New Zealand's a bit up and down, aren't they? They can sort of, they really challenged Perth a couple of weeks ago and then just got blown out by your Kings there. But I'll say Southeast, maybe in a close one.
Yep, I'll agree with you on that one. Illawarra and Adelaide, so 2 home games for Illawarra in the one round. So I think they should take care of business with Adelaide. I think Gary Clark and Sam Froling been playing really good, and I think that's going to be a bit of a nice matchup between the two bigs. The front court of Gary Clark and Sam Froling against Jacob Wiley and Isaac Humphries. That's going to be fun to watch.
Good call. And all 4 of those guys are in pretty good form, aren't they? Froling just continues to, not surprise, but he just delivers every game, doesn't he? And you're right, Humphries has been great. I'm not sure what his contract status is again next year, but
he's up.
Yeah, it's just strange. He always seems to get these short contracts and he just plays so well. Yeah. Hey, speaking of big guys Wood's looking for, I heard that Angus Brandt's possibly looking for a spot back in the NBL. So I wonder what he's got to give at this stage of his career and where he'll go. So that could be someone to watch this space anyway.
Remember him as a rookie for the Sydney Kings, and now he's a well-travelled veteran playing all over the world in Japan.
The Kings couldn't get anything out of him, and he went to Wildcats and turned into a world beater there, right?
Yeah. All right. Okay, man. I mean, do we have to really talk about this? Sunday, Sydney versus Perth. Man, I'm not convinced. Like Sydney, all right, they had one good game, but they've been playing. Pardon my language. We're playing pretty shit of late, right? And we got lucky with the win, simply because of the whole pink day, the doubleheader with the women, 16,000 people.
Yep.
They were playing for their coach. I'll reserve judgment when we can string together some consistent performances in a row.
Is your boy DJ Ho going to be playing in this one, or is he out again?
I think he's out.
Wow.
I think he might be out.
It's been a disappointing season, what they've got from him with these injuries. Again, like I said, I'm a bit worried about the Wildcats, A, backing up from a Friday game, and then B, having potentially their two big guys out there. So I hate to say it, Woods. I'm gonna pick Sydney in this one, unfortunately.
Well, I'm gonna pick Perth in this one.
Ooh,
so there you go. All right.
It's a bit of reverse psychology I'm feeling on this one, right?
For both of us.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. What's the name of this game we got on Sunday?
The Sunshine Something. What is it?
The Sunshine Stash. Stash. All right. I'm going to
Yeah.
go all in on my Taipans to win both games this weekend. So I'm going to go Cairns in a tight one against Brisbane.
So that means you got Brisbane dropping both games as well. Or did you
I
pick
do.
them? So, okay, Brisbane lose both. Yeah, I mean, it just shows you, we talked about how tight the ladder is. I feel like this round, a couple of teams on doubles, quite a few teams actually, this is going to really shape things a little bit further going forward. But, yeah, very interesting round, Woods. And, yeah, I can't wait I've only been to the one game this year. It was the Wildcats game. Hopefully your little run of going to Kings games and them losing continues there. But, yeah, it's a big round ahead anyway.
Yep, no worries. Yeah, I think Cairns would be 12-12 and Brisbane would be 11-13.
Cairns could leap ahead of them. Big one there.
If my predictions are correct. So, I mean, just like that in one round, the ladder can just change so quickly. So it's been a really exciting season and the playoff race is heating up and it's very interesting for all of us, right?
For sure. Nice one. Well, appreciate that, Woods, going through some NBL. Of course, we're going to talk about some NBA as well. We don't have a lot on the agenda today, but I want to start off with that crazy result that happened. Look, it was a few days ago now, Wood, so some people may have missed it. It was the fifth largest margin in NBA history, with OKC beating Portland by 62 points. Like, I found myself looking at that score and I was doing the maths in my head, 40, 50, hang on, that's a 60-point win there. So 139-77. As I mentioned, it was the fifth largest margin in NBA history. I think OKC might have lost one by a similar amount either last year or the year before. But what are your thoughts on this absolutely crazy result?
Well, I'm just going to say the game ended right before halftime when the Blazers, trailed by, I think, 36, 37 points, right? And look, several NBA veterans have raised some questions. Most importantly, Chauncey Billups is the one to be put in the hot seat. So I'm just going to read a quote from ex-Phoenix Sun star Eddie Johnson. And he said this, Robbie. He said, "You lose by 60, like in an NBA game down, you're 60-something. Something's wrong. I understand DeAndre Ayton's not there. But you still got Anthony Simmons, you still got Jeremy Grant, you still got some guys that can score the ball. The 1989 Sixth Man of the Year added, we've seen historically when teams lose like that and get blown out, people start looking at the coach. And I think Chauncey Billups has done the job, but he has to be careful. You can't be getting beaten like this. This is embarrassing right here." So that says a lot. I mean, you've got to fight, just because you're down and out by, 40 points at halftime. By all reports, OKC weren't running up the score. They were bringing in their bench guys and stuff, right? Trying to be respectful, and they still lost by 60. So,
could you imagine going to watch a game like this live? Going for a game, obviously, OKC would have been pretty big favourites going, but going to an NBA game at a 62-point margin. So I reckon we're not going to get close to that maybe for a good couple of years now. That seems about as big a margin as we can get there. So we'll shout out to the Thunder. They did drop the game today against the Lakers, didn't they? That was a pretty competitive game there. But we had a trade as well, Woods. So not a massive trade, but a trade we're going to talk about nevertheless there. So a couple of name players trading places there. So Washington sending two of our former Hawks, actually, in Danilo Gallinari and Mike Moose Muscala, to the Pistons for Isaiah Livers and former number 2 draft pick Marvin Bagley. So, yes, the Marvin Bagley that was drafted in front of Trae Young and Luka Doncic, 5 seasons ago, I'm going to say now. So, any thoughts on this trade?
Look, I've been saying for a while when we talked about the Detroit Pistons in previous episodes not long ago about their need to bring some veteran leadership into that locker room. And they've done that, bringing in Gallinari and Muscala. These guys have been there before. They lived the NBA life, and they're going to do nothing but help some of these youngsters along. So I really like that for Detroit. And someone like Marvin Bagley, he needed a fresh start, and Washington are going to play him, no doubt, to see if he's got anything left in the tank at this level. So he's going to get an opportunity to play there. So I don't mind it for both sides.
Well, neither of those new Pistons players played today, but the Detroit got a win, so that's always a big thing in themselves. And they got one of those crazy Alec Burks games that he has like a couple of times a season. He was 11 of 17 for 34 points. I'm quite liking, I know we're not going to go on a big Pistons rant here, Woods, but I guess what Ivy and Duran are bringing him there. So certainly some keys to the future with those two guys. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean,
and one of the Thompsons is there as well. So
exactly. Well, but these teams actually played each other today. Funny enough. So I mean, look, I'm not going to want to say too much about Washington because I watched them, beat the brakes off the Hawks on the weekend. A really disappointing game, but they're a strange roster, that Detroit team there. I'm not quite sure what they're going for there. Just seems a very strange team in general there. So, all right. Well, to finish off our NBA stuff, Woods, I wanted to do a little bit of a chat about the Rookie of the Year race. So 2 unicorns, right, in Wemby and Chet. Currently, these guys are flipping between 1 and 2 in the NBA.com rookie ladder. So they do that every week there. I always pay close attention to that. I think 3rd, 4th and 5th are just a mile off these guys, so we don't even need to mention them. But they've got Wemby currently at number 1. Who do you think will end up as the Rookie of the Year when the season's all said and done? Also, how much do you think Chet's team record will come into play as well? They've currently had 20 more wins, OKC over the Spurs. So what are your predictions for that award?
I still think Victor. I mean, you're right. If you look at their averages, Victor's slightly higher in points per game, slightly higher in rebounds, and, around about the same in blocks per game. But as you said, Chet's been part of a team that's been successful, which could play into his advantage. Yeah. But let me just read something to you, right? Recently, Wemby's had an ankle injury, right? So he's been put on a 24-minute restriction since the 21st of December, right? Mm. He's played just 23.7 minutes a game in that span. But in that time, he's netting, check this out, 23.4 points, 9 rebounds, 3.6 assists, 3.4 blocks, while connecting 52.3% from the field, 35.1% from long range, and nearly 89% from the three-point line on 6.3 attempts. I mean, this type of production, even for a player who gets close to 40 minutes per game, is unbelievable, right? So I just think that, sure, Chet's team's done a lot better, but Victor's just going to keep on this upward trajectory. And as he comes out of this injury, he's figured out playing the 5 spot works for him, in that San Antonio team. Yeah. I think the improvement is going to be exponential on a team where he needs to do a little bit more. Whereas Chet's playing for a team that has a chance to make a deep playoff run. So he's going to play the role that's required for him to win ball games. Whereas Wemby can probably freelance towards the end of the year and do his own thing and really, put an extra stamp on that statistical output, right? So,
well, I got another good look on Wemby today. Obviously, the Hawks beat him there. He was amazing. Played just over that minutes restriction. I think 27 minutes. But he was 26 points, 13 rebounds, 5 block shots. He blocked Trae Young on a shot where he didn't even jump, so that was pretty funny seeing that. But he's Chet's definitely a unicorn. Same with guys like Porzingis. So I think there almost needs to be another word for someone like Wemby. He's like, I don't know what the next thing is from a unicorn, but he's just amazing to watch out there, isn't he? He really is.
Yeah, okay. Aside from those two, let's give it to Jaime Jaquez Jr., right? Is that how I say it?
Well, Jaime Jaquez Jr.? I think he's 3rd in those rookie rankings there, Wood. So, the guy out of Mexico, I believe is he the only Mexican in the NBA right now? He'd have to be, wouldn't he? I mean, unless Eduardo Nahara plans on making a comeback anytime soon. But he's been great. Yeah, he's been really good.
I picked him up early on, like out of nowhere in one of my fantasy comps. So he's been really successful for me. And a lot of similarities between him and Jimmy Butler. They're showing videos of those two when they were younger, when Jimmy was younger, and some of the moves they do. So I think having Jimmy on that team's been good for him, and I just really enjoy watching him play. He's an effervescent personality, love interviews that he gives, seems like a good kid. Really excited to see how his game develops over the years. Yeah.
And there was a lot of names in this rookie class, wasn't there, that came out this year? I don't think anyone was talking about him at all. So, good call shouting out that there, Wood. So, all right, well, looking forward to another big week of NBA ahead. I know we mentioned last week we'll probably do some All-Star predictions soon. Have you voted at all, Woods? They did a triple vote thing today, so I had to make sure I got my vote in for Trae and got him a triple vote there. But
how much time do I have left to vote?
I might actually be finished. I think it was the Americans. I think I think it might have finished with the triple votes. But get in there and put a vote on Trey. Do some of your other favourites. I don't know. Vote Joe Ingles or some of those other guys that you like. But yeah, nice. All right. Well, it's that time of the show, Woods. It's classic packs time again. I don't know what you got for us this week. Yeah.
So I'm changing it up a bit. Pretty sure this got sent in by someone. Could have been sent in by Sydney Seeking. Maybe. Sid, I think you did send us these. Mookie might have given me this pack, or I might have got it from someone else. Someone's in this pack. So 93, 94 tops, right?
Yeah. With the random player on the front, right? That's not actually a player, is it? It's just like a generic basketballer, is that right? Yeah.
Just some guy with number 90. That's got the number 93 on him for the year.
These are the ones with the silver card in each pack, is it? Or am I wrong there?
Yep.
Those?
No, card in every pack, special tops gold pack. Gold one.
Ooh, gold. Yeah. Well, so better than silver's gold, right? Yeah.
We have opened a pack of these.
We have, yeah.
But not many, I don't think, right?
Pull a good one this week, Woods. Plenty of Hawks and some superstars, right?
I'm always worried about the Series 2 ones, do you know what I mean? Because they tend to have not as strong cards, but I thought, let's do it. Okay. Oh, okay. The tallest man to ever play in NBA history. You recently acquired a shirt, which you're actually wearing. You're actually wearing
underneath. I wonder if is it this guy, Woods?
Yes, it sure is.
Good
right?
segue, yeah. So Manute Bol, wow, straight out of Sudan. Oh wow! Always forget with him with being with Miami. Yeah,
the Dinka tribesman.
Definitely. Wow. They never knew what his actual age was, wasn't he? He's obviously no birth certificates and that. It's quite a funny story.
People say he was playing in the NBA. People think that he was playing in the NBA probably in his mid-40s.
Yeah, right? Likely. He's still probably younger than Kevin Willis, though, right?
Yeah. Okay. Part of that bench mob at Orlando, someone who's had a real impact this year for the Orlando Magic, is the son of a former New York Knick. This New York Knick is?
Greg Anthony. Is he getting in a punch up there? I remember him having some good fights over the years. Very sort of different players, aren't they? They're both, guards there, but Cole's certainly a lot more athletic than what Greg Anthony was.
Okay. This guy had a solid career. This is Bullet's card. I remember him at the Suns, at the Hornets. Had a career in commentating afterwards. Had some troubles with the law, which he came out of successfully. Had 40 on Michael Jordan once upon a time.
Not Liddell Eccles.
No. This guy is the white guy, could dunk and shoot threes. Number 3.
Oh, Rex Chapman, of course.
Chapman.
Oh, yeah, someone we both like. Yeah, wow.
Yeah. You got a Rex Chapman jersey?
I do have a Rex Chapman, a Suns jersey.
Yeah. We always pull this guy's card. My favorite center of all time.
Not Patrick Ewing again.
Yes.
I feel like we get Patrick Ewing probably every second pack, so we've never had that card. Actually, that's an interesting one, the landscape style card there. But it's interesting. We've seen, and you can't actually see his big knee braces in that one, which is disappointing. But
oh, this is awesome. We've got an insert here.
Ooh.
Pop's reigning playoff MVP. Okay, only player in NBA history to be named NBA Finals MVP 3 years in a row. Who am I talking about?
Is he bald?
Yeah.
It's got to be MJ, right?
What a great card that is.
Oh, wow. Very nice. Don't think I even remember that one. Yeah. What's that look like on the back? Very cool.
Yep. So it's got playoff statistics from 84 through 92, 93. All right, 93, 94 checklist.
Ooh, we know what we're doing with that. Are you still worried about Skittles, your dog, eating that, or are you just going to chuck it over you?
No, even around here, she'll eat it straight away. Okay. We pulled this card last week. Most assists in an NBA game, Orlando Magic point guard.
Good old Scott Skiles. How many assists was that? Was it 29?
30,
is that the
30?
Wow.
Yep.
I think we've mentioned that before. Is that a record that's going to be broken? You think maybe in this high-scoring era it would be, but no one.
I can't believe it hasn't been. I cannot believe it hasn't been.
But no one's got close either. Yeah. No one's even.
I think Rondo got to 25 or 26. I think, right?
Maybe. Yeah. And Westbrook might have had close to 21 game from memory as well.
Okay, 76ers center forward, lumbering white guy who played limited minutes after 4 years as an NBA backup. This player used last season to retool his game by lifting weights and playing in the Italian league, where he averaged 90 points and 11.7 points a game, and he came back to the NBA.
Not
right?
like Jaminski.
No, yeah, that from that kind of guy.
Not Jeff Ruland.
Eric Lechner.
Oh, wow. All right, I'm glad you told me that was because I would not have picked that one. I haven't heard that name for a long time. Wow.
Okay, number 23 for the Minnesota Timberwolves, forward, right?
Glass?
Okay, so he had so many skills that he made an NBA roster
Michael Williams?
No. He made an NBA roster even though he averaged a mere 6.8 points per game in his career at Duke. Second round draft pick by Phoenix in 1992. He played last season in France where he scored 50.5 points per game, right?
Chris Carr? No, I'm blanking on this
Ryan Davis.
Wow, that's another obscure one. I think you might be right about these Series 2 packs there, Woods.
Yep.
You can definitely get some interesting players.
Right? Yeah, guys who get picked up after the trade deadline and things like that on
undrafted guys and stuff like that.
Guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Clippers center who's never played a minute in his NBA career till this season.
Wow.
You will never get this guy. Your brother might know him.
Not Stoichko Vrankovic.
Bob Martin.
What is going on with this pack? Who is that?
Stewie.
Can I check, Woods?
Do you know who these guys are?
You can stall for a little bit, Woods. I want to actually check how many games of NBA that guy played, because that is as obscure a name as I can remember there. Bob Martin. So 54 years of age. He played 54 games with a career average of 2 points. So, wow. So he played 53 that year with the Clippers, one game the next, and then he was out of the league. So, wow. Bob Martin. Interesting.
A really, really good friend of Magic Johnson. In fact, at one point, Magic Johnson really wanted a trade to bring him to the Lakers.
Isaiah Thomas?
No. Previously played for most of his career for the Mavericks and then the Pistons before, sort of finishing off with the Clippers.
Adrian Dantley?
No, close. Teammate of Adrian Dantley.
Yeah. Why am I blanking on that? I know this one. She's stumping me this week. No.
Mark Aguirre.
Of course. I think they might have been traded for each other, him and Adrian Dantley, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I can't remember the storyline there. Did the Lakers want to trade Magic initially for Mark Aguirre? Or no?
I don't know if they would have been games who have done that.
Yeah, I think Norm Nixon maybe. I don't know.
We'll have to watch on the next season of Winning Time to see if they bring it up, right?
There's no more next season of Winning Time. They cancelled it.
No, they did, didn't they? I actually quite like that. I was actually getting used to that by the end of it.
Yeah, I liked it too.
Yeah.
You'd know this guy. You've mentioned his name before. First round draft of the Clippers in 1991. He then played briefly in the CBA before being picked up by the Charlotte Hornets. His father, Leroy, played 14 seasons in the NBA.
Ellis?
Yep, LeRon Ellis.
LeRon Ellis, yeah, definitely. I think we might have pulled his card when we had the man himself, Lee Ellis, on the show, right? We might have mentioned that one. Yep. So that's it.
Yep, not the worst pack, but not the best either.
Certainly not the best, that one. So we had a Jordan and we had a Patrick Ewing. Do we have anyone else that actually anyone would even know? Or?
Greg Anthony, Manute Ball, Rex Chapman, Scott Skiles.
And tell me the three no-names again. Brian Davis.
Eric Lechner.
Yeah.
Bob Martin.
Wow.
Mark Aguirre was on my side as well.
Solid,
yeah.
Interesting. Well, it's always good. We don't know who we're going to get in these packs. We can get superstars one week and get some no-names. It's good to take a bit of a trip down memory lane with some of these guys. So, all right, Woods, appreciate it. That sort of brings us to the end of the show. So, look, as I mentioned at the start of the show, thanks for everyone's support. Please make sure you're subscribing, liking, and whatnot on YouTube or wherever you listen to the audio. We can also be followed on X at Throwback Hoops, on Instagram, throwback.hoops, and of course our email address, throwbackhoopspodcast@gmail.com. We also appreciate anyone that's pledging some support to us on Patreon. That really does help us there. So I'll throw it off to you, Woods. I know you're looking forward to this big round of NBL, the Kings and that. So give us some final thoughts.
Yeah, it's been really tight this race for the NBL playoffs. So enjoy the games and go Sydney this Sunday.
Yeah, we might have to snap a photo. I know we're probably not sitting together, Woods. You've got your fancy seats. I'll be up in the bleachers somewhere, but we'll snap a photo. You know what jersey you're wearing yet? Or?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. Maybe my Bolden jersey. I've only worn it the day I bought it, so maybe I'll wear that. Yeah.
Like, I want to wear a cotton jersey, but I feel like I want to wear maybe my Keanu Pinder black jersey, because I think they'll probably be rocking the black jerseys this week. But anyway, we'll get a photo up on socials of that. So, all right, we'll really appreciate everyone tuning in for another week. A couple of guests coming up in the next couple of weeks, so please make sure you continue to follow us. And, big peace out from the Throwback Hoops crew.
Thanks, everyone.